First thing I want to do when talking about the Jotuns is the idea that they are monsters, or some kind of elf kind, which is not true. They are viewed as a different clan of gods, specifically primordial gods. A lot of the Jotun personifications of very important things are Jotuns. Thor's mother is Thor's mother, who is the embodiment of earth. The embodiments of wind, fire, and the ocean are also Jotuns. And they're definitely more chaotic beings, so calling on their energies can be a little tricky because of that. But they're obviously very important to elemental magic. And it can be orderly, it can be civil, but be careful if you do this. But I did want to get that out first, the idea that they are actually gods. And thank you for watching. So in my last video I said that the Jotuns are chaotic and you have to be careful when you call upon their energies. And to understand what I mean by that, you have to understand their origins. All Jotuns descend from Ymir, who is the first being in the cosmos in Norse mythology. From his sweat came the first male and first female Jotuns, and from them the other generations of Jotuns. So they existed when the cosmos was new. Things were still being formed, things were very chaotic, and the majority of Jotuns, regardless of their relationship with the Aesir or the Vanir, which can kind of get complicated, especially since a lot of them take Jotuns as spouses, want to return to that. So it's very chaotic, it can be very destructive because of what they want to return to, which is the void. Thank you for watching. My apologies for the lack of a beard. I had a job interview. In my last video, I said that all Jotuns want to return to the void. While this has a lot of negative connotations, that negative connotation is not necessarily true for all Jotuns, and for the most of the ones that you'll deal with, it's not. Sometimes the Jotuns can be emotionless, but not actively destructive. Like with all things, Jotuns have individual personalities, therefore have different energies and work in different ways. The Jotun, as I said, the relationship between the Jotuns and the Aesir and the Vanir gets complicated because individual. Now, what you have to look out for are the Risi. These tend to be a little more actively destructive, a lot more selfish. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. I appreciate everyone who watches, and I hope I didn't scare anyone off with my last video. It's a beautiful snowy day in New York, folks. So for this video is going to be kind of a minor misconception on the Jotuns, and that is that people believe that there are some people out there who believe that Loki and Logi are the same being, or at least treat them in the same way, or otherwise think that Loki is a personification of fire. This is a very minor thing. How you differentiate them for the most part is that they have different parentages, and they are involved in the same poem together, where they have an eating contest against each other. This is a relatively minor misconception because Loki is still a fire energy deity. So if you call upon him for such energies, you're not doing anything wrong. This is just a minor misconception that I figured would be a quick video. Thank you for watching. So in today's videos, I'm going to be showing off my most valued possession as of right now. This is a necklace that also serves as my fetish. In my path, fetishes are any inanimate objects that we generally use to pour our spiritual energy into to work with spirits. Now, this specific necklace I got about a year ago. The 4 crystals on the top here are protection and dispelling crystals, and the one on the end here is what is called a wand crystal. And wand crystals are generally used for more directional purposes. They also help with meditation if you lay the end on your third eye. I love this thing. This in of itself is a very elaborate design. It took quite a few hours for the person who made it for me to make. But I do recommend that if you're into crystals or anything like that, you get a wand stone of yourself. Thank you for watching. So in my quest to use magic more often on a daily basis, I'm starting off on a small scale, and I'm going to be using one of the easiest tools there is to do this for. tea. Arguably, coffee works just as well, but I'm going to be using some honey in it. Honey is very good for vitality and just works well with tea. A little bit, not too much. Enough to sweeten everything, get the effects in there, and be fine. Now, when doing magic, you have two ways of doing it, and it's basically stirring. If you stir counterclockwise, or withershins, you are dispelling something, negative energy, or if you do it clockwise, you are trying to summon something such as goodwill. Thank you for watching. In some of my other videos, I have mentioned the importance of when doing spell work, or casting circles, or doing pretty much anything magically, the importance of directions, and I use the terms clockwise and counterclockwise. And you might be asking why specifically that's important. Well, I was taught by someone that I was dating at the time, who was using the Celtic tradition, that clockwise is called Jeshel. It is supposed to represent the moving of the sun, and Withershins, which is counterclockwise, is, well, the reverse of that and is used for dispelling things. Jeshel being used to summon things, whether it's spirits, positive energy, or anything like that. I am, however, interested to know what other traditions think of these directions and the etymology and rules behind some of the words they use. I appreciate everyone who watches. Thank you so much. I got a real interesting question on TikTok. How do I incorporate moon water into rune casting? Now, you might want to take this with a grain of salt, because I personally do not cast runes because I am still learning them, and I figure that's just respect for the tradition. Now, there's two ways that I immediately thought about this. If anyone has any others, be free to post them in the comments or your own videos. I'll be sure to tag the person who asked in the comments. Now, there's two ways that I thought of immediately, is that a lot of people like putting their runes on certain crystals like amethyst and stuff like that. Moon water is really good for charging stones and crystals. Now, you got to be careful which crystals you use, because some of them are really sensitive to water and will dissolve or have other reactions. The second is just having it around. Moon water is really good for boosting intention. It is basically magical energy personified. Again, grain of salt. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was... I usually don't do 2 videos in a day, but I feel like this is something that needs to be said, because I've seen it on my For You page and my specific following content. You could be a pagan without doing magic at all. Like, you could still have a personal relationship with deities without necessarily being called to them in the same way that they're called to people who are practicing magic. Now, I understand that, you know, it's kind of ingrained in a lot of the culture, especially like modern paganism is very magic based, but it's not required by any means. There's a lot of videos about this. You can specifically go to Ravenwood did a lot of videos on this. There's a bunch of videos by Dorky Druid that are really good for this kind of thing. You can still have a personal relationship with these gods, and that's whether you're magical or not does not affect that. Thank you for watching. Alright, between moving a lot as a child and, you know, adult stuff getting in the way, and, you know, moving a lot as an adult, I used to have a rather large collection of books, and right now I'm trying to rebuild the library I had. So I got these 2 off of Amazon. I had this one before, I highly recommend it. And I got these 3 things from magicofthebear.com, which I highly recommend. And, yeah, here are the books. I'm excited. I haven't read this one yet. I'm really excited about that. Obviously very excited about this. And I also got incense burners and some sticks. So once I'm done with my Labanomancy videos, I have at least more stuff to reference. Thank you for watching. Happy Regrettable Spells Day! I'm gonna be completely honest. If you do a love spell and you come to me, I'm gonna make you deal with it. The one thing that I always hate is people being like, oh, I casted this love spell, but it went wrong. they're obsessed with me now, or now they're obsessed with the wrong parts of me, or I didn't know their love would be this way. No shit. Alright. To all those who are new to witchcraft or anything in that realm, libraries are your friend. You really don't know what you'll find. That being said, be careful of all authors and sources, but you still never know. Alright, it's St. Patrick's Day, but I'm not drunk yet, so I figured that I would at least be useful. Today I've seen a bunch of videos about whether the terms white and black magic are racist. Now, of course, this kind of started not necessarily with Challenger, but I think Challenger's video has gotten the most attention, and I appreciate him a lot. And here's the thing, he's not wrong. But so isn't the other side. Here's the thing. The terms white and black magic do predate pretty much any concept of race. But there is a lot of sources that use black magic in that context. Now, does that mean either one is... So, neither side is necessarily wrong, and I am glad to hear that everyone who's been talking about this, for the most part, has been respectful, and as far as I've seen, it's been respectful. Alright. So, hopefully that... So, again, this is another pre-drug video where I try to at least explain something in 1 minute. In this case, it's hexing and the threefold law. Now, this seems to be a thing that comes up every few months of people being like, oh, I don't follow the threefold law, it doesn't apply to me, it's a wicked thing, blah, blah, blah. And that's completely true. And, you know, in my opinion, hexing is completely necessary sometimes, but I have a different rule of 3. If you are still mad about something in 3 days, then you at least have the energy to hex someone that badly. Now, that being said, you have to make sure that you're safe about it, because when you hex someone, you do spiritually connect yourself to the person you're hexing. It takes as much as your energy as everything else that you're putting into it, and it means that more is being put into it. So be safe when you hex. And, you know, hope this was useful. I probably got a couple more videos in me, we'll see. Thank you for watching. Alright, and I don't want my last video to get twisted. This is a somber occasion to me. Just how I celebrate somber occasions is on a very odd side. But while I'm here, I do want to do a toast to all the snakes we lost, whether it be our ancestors or simply people that we revere, and what we are trying to reconstruct. May the snakes today be twice as venomous and last twice as long. This toast also goes out to every bloodline that was lost, and every bloodline that we will continue to make. All hail. Alright, I got 2 things to make another TikTok about. Yeah, for those keeping track, the trees basically said yes, so we'll all go for there. But I just realized that I also hit 300 followers, almost 310. You guys are amazing. And I just got this in the mail. It's a really nice mortar and pestle. This is hand-carved soapstone. I actually got it as a gift. So yeah, today's been pretty awesome. Don't mind the stove mess. I am going to clean that later tonight. But yeah, thank you all for following. Thank you all for watching. I hope it's been informative, and I got, you know, more videos coming out for you. Oh, God. Alright, I'm probably going to go to bed now. Thank you. Used my mortar and pestle for the first time. Apparently I've got some learning in how to properly use the tool a little bit. And yes, it's fine, not infected or anything. It's just a little dirty, and I can clean that. A moment in pagan history. Shortly before Christmas, in 1972, the Asatru Fellowship went to the Icelandic Minister of Justice and Religious Affairs to get their religion officially recognized. In response to this, the Bishop of Iceland at the time sent a letter stating that the Icelandic Constitution, specific wording, granted everyone the right to found an organization to serve God, stating that the Icelandic Constitution, because of that wording, only attributed protection to monotheistic practices. Although it was not an easy road, the organization would be officially recognized in May of the following year. So I recently saw a video of another witch talker responding to a comment that said that gods don't need permission for things, and that the classification of gods, certain beings, are wrong because they require permission, which is not a historic thing, to the best of my knowledge. Like, even the Tuatha De Danann, which is the Irish Celtic deities, arguably even need permission to walk on this plane of existence at all, especially after they left. And, like, certain situations, yes, like, obviously, if you are in the path or you build something in the way that is the path of the wild hunt, it's not going to be a good time, but in most cases that I'm aware of, gods do need permission for various things. It's here! Oh god, it feels like I ordered this months ago. But yeah. What do you think I got? You're so cute. Alright, so the kit I got came with this. You get a little tag that says your clergy, and this book kind of feels more like a pamphlet, but it's a decent, like, small softcover book. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't read it through yet. Got two of these. You know, the plain but effective one. And the pretty one for your extra friends. You also get this card, which is actually pretty dope. What your credentials look like, you might need this in your... I have become your sinister minister! Thank you for watching. You know, as Norse pagans, when we hear the word trickster god, our mind immediately jumps to Loki, which is a mixture of, you know, media, and at its core, that is the basic myth. But, if you really think about it, doesn't Odin also fit this character as well? Or this archetype, rather? He had a game of wits with a giant who didn't know that he was talking to Odin, and made the giant find out. Like, it's a very different kind of trickster, but I don't know. I think it fits the archetype. I was wondering what other Norse pagans really thought about it. You know, respect to everyone and their beliefs as always, but, you know, it was just something that made me laugh. Alright, there is a theory. It's mostly archaeological, and it's called the Peter Parker theory. And it's effectively that there are things that were once so well known that they were never written down. Now, you can see why this is a problem for a lot of reconstructionists of something that used to be, you know, so common knowledge they never thought to write it down. Now, the things that pervade this theory, there's a couple things. The most well-known is the Aztec deity of the feathered serpent, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, out of fear of disrespect. But we know of his story, of his birth. But even in that story, there's a goddess that sees the baby and says, "Oh, he looks familiar," insinuating this is a story of rebirth. Figured it was about time that I get a little something. Alright. It's difficult to do one-handed. Ah, yes. Oh, that's a lot more detailed than I thought it was. Ah, that's actually really neat. Got the twins here. Again, I'm really surprised about this detail. The little thing she comes with. Frigg, in the aspect of the mother. The thing she comes with. And Odin in his wood finish. The thing he comes with. Someone gave me an early birthday present. And yes, it is supposed to be like the Green Man as a tree. It's one of those reverse flow cones. I love it. I've seen a couple of videos about Greek and Roman myths and the propaganda therein, and I just wanted to add a little something without stepping on the toes of the multiple creators that I've been seeing do this as of late. So, just a little more information and putting it out there. Generally, if something seems to be a really bizarre focal point and it's talking about a civil or a social issue, generally means that it was a political opinion at the time. I believe it's in the Iliad, but I'm working off of memory here, so I could be wrong. Aphrodite is told that women do not belong on the battlefield. This is more than likely in response to the Spartan incarnation of Aphrodite. I believe it's Aphrodite Urea, which means Aphrodite of Ares or Aphrodite the warlike. And she's seen wearing armor, being armed, and all that. Thank you for... So a friend of mine got this off Wish and got an extra one. And yeah, the triquetra with the Quest for Camelot symbol on it. Sorry, I don't know what else to call it. It's really cool. I like it. The chain's kind of cheap, but this pendant's awesome. I know we all know about the Green Man, or at least he's a very popular figure. But do we ever talk about the Red Apple Man? Sometimes just called the Red Man, but there's some obvious problems with calling him something that basic. When I was a kid, we used to go apple picking a lot. And my grandfather, on particularly my very much known Celtic side, he talked about this legend of the Red Apple Man. Every orchard has one, and it is a spirit, or probably better to classify as an entity, because he kind of reads off as demigod to me. And he basically lives in the oldest fruit-bearing tree in an orchard. I was wondering if anyone else had any similar myths or know any more specifics about him. Thank you for watching.